Right, hello. Amazing. Right, let's begin. Hello, everyone. I'm Vi. I'm the e-commerce marketing expert at Omnisend. Today, I'm joined by James. We're going to be talking about everything that is trending in email marketing this year. And the whole focus today is on small businesses and what you can do today, implement today, think about to help your business. Email marketing is all the rage now. And speaking of rage, James is from Rage Creative. They're a partner agency at Omnisend. Would you like to say hello, James?
Hi there, everyone. James here, founder at Rage Creative, and looking forward to going through the latest marketing trends today.
Amazing. So I know that this is going to be jam-packed with information, so pay attention. A few things before we start. This webinar, this workshop is being recorded. You will receive the recording in an email where you can rewatch it, share it with other people as well. So do not worry about it. And lastly, we have a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So leave your questions there. And at the end of this session, we'll have a Q&A session where we're going to ask James all the questions. So without any further ado, I'm just going to switch up my screen. And I will allow James to share his.
There we go. So hopefully that's,
Yeah, we can see it okay.
Cool.
Right.
Okay. Excellent. Well, yeah. Hello, everyone. James here from Rage Creative. So, partnering with Omnisend today to bring you all of the latest trends, provide some tips on, essentially how SMBs can look to increase revenue in 2025, especially leveraging technologies like Omnisend. So, a bit about Rage Creative before going in. So, yeah, we are an e-commerce D2C specialist agency. We really focus on, growing and scaling SMBs to, five-figure businesses all the way up to seven-figure businesses. And one of our core platforms and ways that we do this is partnering with platforms like Omnisend, for example, which heads up most of our email marketing efforts. So the agenda for today, as Vi kindly said, it's going to be action packed, but it's going to be action packed with things that you can take away today and implement in your day-to-day strategies with ease. So we're going to be looking at the current email marketing landscape in 2025, what that looks like, and what we should be looking out for to leverage in the coming months for the rest of the year. We're going to be looking at key trends. We're going to be checking how a couple of tips and tricks on how we're going to be boosting revenue for you guys over the coming year. And then I've actually included some real life case studies that include obviously Rage and Omnisend and how we sort of came together to help these SMBs obviously increase revenue. So why this matters. The digital landscape is constantly evolving. Email marketing is no longer just about sending mass campaigns. There are so many things that you're going to have to be aware of, from segmentation, automation, and sometimes there's a bit of paralysis there of where do I get started when you don't necessarily have the expertise and you don't have the right software or partners in place. And the reason why this is so important now more than ever is consumers demand personalized, relevant, and engaging content. So failing to adapt means that you are going to be missing out on your revenue. There are plenty of other, of your competitors taking advantage of, the software and partnerships available out there that they can leverage, many things. And there is a huge opportunity to automate. One of the major things we come across with clients and their challenges is a lack of time and resource. You're busy wearing many different hats, doing many different things. And you've really got to be able to identify the quickest and most efficient way in order to, covering all these things so that you can grow. But most importantly, you can focus on the most important things and let the software and the partners do the sort of heavy lifting for you, so you can scale at ease. So the goals for this particular webinar, as I mentioned, we're looking at actionable insights and strategies, the way you can maximize revenue through email marketing. We want to equip you with the latest trends and best practices to stay ahead of the competition in 2025. And we want to show how Omnisend's powerful automation and personalization tools can help drive success specifically. So let's look at the email landscape in 2025. So in 2024, average open rates declined by almost 3%. And why is that? There's more competition, there's more noise, and fighting for inbox space is becoming more and more difficult. I think it's somewhere around 36.1 billion emails were sent daily in 2024. Now, everything we do requires an email, whether that's receipts, whether that's updates, password resets. We only have certain time in the day to check the inbox, and it's quite overwhelming when you're stuck there with 80 to 100 emails per day. Consumers obviously expect relevance and personalization. So one size doesn't fit all anymore. You can't just blanket send one particular email to your entire audience, because it's really not going to cut through the noise. It's not going to be relevant, and you're going to be lagging behind when it comes to conversions, getting a bit demotivated with it all, which is not what you want. And the stats speak for themselves. Personalized emails achieve 29% higher open rates and 41% higher click-through rates. And then AI and automation are transforming everything that we do, whether it's informing us on how we can optimize content, the best times to send emails, the best ways to segment data or make it interactive. We have now what we never had before, especially me 12 years ago, which can, provide, as it states there, automated emails generating 8 times higher open rates. And within this competitive market, every percent counts. And privacy and compliance are more critical than ever. So stricter regulations require a transparent and permission-based approach. People are sick of being signed up for things and being emailed when they're not expecting it, or they don't want to. So it has to be clear that if they want to stay, they can stay. So that's where you need to develop, real value and be quite clear on what they're going to be receiving, so it isn't a shock and an immediate unsubscribe. And not just that, you could face fines, as the stats say, up to 1.76 billion in recent informants. So that's obviously a new record, and I don't see that going down at any time. So your audience is smarter and more selective. So this is why they need to be more engaging and valuable. We don't just have one inbox anymore. We don't just have a spam folder. There's different inboxes that people set up for. You've got promotional, you've got updates. The possibilities are endless. So we need to make sure that we're more relevant than ever. People are responding and engaging with them, so they're going into the right inbox, giving us the best opportunity for conversions. So 59% of consumers say most emails they receive aren't relevant or valuable. I can safely say that is the case. Sign up to so many things and forget that I even have, and then just let them fill up my inbox, unfortunately. So segmentation and automation are non-negotiable. So going back to the hyper-personalization and the relevance. So making sure that it is relevant, whether that's the copy, whether it's the time sent. We need proper data segmentation. So analyzing the data, what have we got available that we can leverage? And then what can we look at including in the future, and how do we collect this information so we can further develop our segmentation, our personalization, and then obviously increase conversions. So again, segmented email campaigns can increase revenue by up to 760%. And there are many different ways that you can segment information. Deliverability is king. So again, poor email practices where you're just spamming to your entire list every single time, and bounce rates are increasing, open rates are dropping, click-through rates are dropping, and you're not getting any conversions, you're getting frustrated, and the lack of time and resource, you just saying, well, I'm just going to continue doing it anyway, and hopefully someday it will work. So this will really hurt. So as soon as deliverability comes down, you're facing an uphill battle. It's 6 good, consistent, hard-working months to get back to a point where You're not going into the promotional or spam, you're going into the main inbox. So 20% of legitimate commercial emails fail to even reach inboxes. I mean, you've seen the likes of recent updates with Gmail and Yahoo that even without a registered and branded domain, you're not even going to get to these inboxes, unfortunately. Um, so as you could probably tell, I'm a huge admirer of Omnisend. We have many brands with them, and the reason for that is purpose built for SMBs. You know, the tools they hit all of the trends that we're going to be discussing today, whether that's segmentation, automation, deliverability. It's all there right in front of you to make it, you know, a second thought at the end of the day. It's very intuitive, allowing you, as I mentioned before, to focus on the important parts of your business, and then quickly diving into this, allowing you to improve your overall emails with just a couple of clicks of a button. And as it states, Omnisend users see an average of 41% higher conversions, which is, yeah, incredible. So the first trend is hyper personalization. And what do we mean by hyper personalization? Because consumers expect more than just first name greetings. And I don't know about anyone else. I think it's quite a controversial take, um, because if you include the first name in the preview text, in most occasions, you're actually knocking the offer out of visibility. So if you've got a killer offer that you want your people to see, they're just going to see a first name that they've seen 100 times already from, you know, a corporation or a business that they don't actually have a personal relationship with. So it doesn't hit. So they want it to speak to them directly to their needs. So a more relevant offer based on what they're looking for is going to be more impactful. It boosts engagement. So if they see obviously a great subject line, just taking that obviously uh, example, it's going to boost the engagement. They're going to read more. They're going to click through, and they're going to convert hopefully. But not just from the subject line, the copy within the email and the design needs to be optimized and needs to be relevant for that segment. So, you know, if it's to female audience on Valentine's Day, you know, don't leave it to the man to forget dinner reservations. You take charge, and it's making it really personal and relevant to them. And you know, that's the way that you're going to cut through the noise and how they're going to be looking forward to your emails in the future rather than immediately dismissing them and scrolling by. Um, and what's great is we have AI and data driven insights now that can actually show us what is working and what isn't working. And it allows us to adapt a lot more quickly, without the need of data pullers or, you know, data analysts that, you know, require a lot of money. Trust me. It's all there in a nice dashboard that you can see, and you can quickly see, well, they're not reacting to that, but they're reacting to this. So let's go with that. So that's covering sort of hyper personalization where it's not just first names anymore. The main thing for me is it's behavior based personalization. And what I mean by that is what type of emails are they reacting with? At what times of day are they reacting with? And from AI to automations, you can really target them at their most, not vulnerable is probably the right way of putting it, but where they're most receptive to the messaging and to your emails. So 71% of consumers now expect companies to deliver personalized interactions, 76% becoming frustrated when this doesn't happen. 76% is a lot, considering, you know, the threshold for unsubscribe rates are below 1%. So it's really key that you know, use these tools effectively, to do that. And then we look at dynamic content and product recommendations. So if they're leaving the checkout, and they've, you know, added the same product to their cart 3 times, but they still haven't purchased, why is that? At Rage Creative, we developed a abandoned checkout flow that would then proposition two similar products, one at a cheaper rate and one at a more expensive rate. Are they looking for a more premium option? Are they looking for something a bit more cheaper for now to test it out before, you know, committing to a higher one? And again, we saw increasing rates, 6 times more transactions, 29% higher open rates, 41% click through rates. Personalized subject lines and email copy. Again, get rid of the first names. It's easily done, but having something personalized where it's relevant to them. You know, at this time of day that they're receiving the emails? Are these people going to be cooking? Are they on their daily commute? Really get into the psyche of your customers. You probably know them better than any platform or any AI is going to be able to do, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can't leverage those to even enhance the experience more. And then predictive segmentation and AI driven campaigns. So we've obviously mentioned the tools. If you haven't got the time and haven't got the resource, then obviously platforms like Omnisend will be able to provide, really relevant to your industry, and to your data, recommendations for segmentations, where to get started with automations and flows. So you're not sat there looking at it, feeling overwhelmed. It's just like, let's start one by one, and then we'll see how that progresses and then move on to the next thing once that particular thing is optimized. So it's naturally scaling and improving your results. So market is using advanced segmentation and personalization have seen revenue increases of up to 760%. I've only given you a few examples there, dipping our toes into the water of what can be achieved. But again, this has been a trend for many years, but it's now evolved into a different beast entirely. So higher engagement, more opens and clicks, increased conversions, so relevant emails, we're driving more purchases, which is, the main aim, and strong customer relationships. So again, feeling tailored, feeling relevant, and that's just going to breed loyalty, and it's going to breed repeat purchases. And in the long term, that's consistent and scalable revenue for you guys. So with Omnisend, as I mentioned many times, how can Omnisend help with this? So again, easy to use segmentation and automation tools, take the guesswork out of it. Just get started by clicking on some of the recommendations, analyzing how they've worked, and then look to improve on that. AI-driven product recommendations, as I mentioned, it's not a one size fits all. Everyone, depending on their time and place, will need a different type of product. So again, take the guesswork out of it and let the data decide for you. And then personalized workflows that adapt to the customer's behavior. We feel like we know everyone, but if you're like me, your day to day, you've got it all planned out, and then as soon as it's planned out, it doesn't go to plan, and you're in a different state of mind, you're in a different place, but the data will know when we're going to be open, most likely to open, most likely to convert. So again, it's a great tool and platform for you to take advantage of if you don't have the resource and knowledge, but you're actively looking to improve your email marketing results. So the second trend that we're going to be going on to is interactive content, which is a personal favorite of mine that you don't see much of at the moment. And why is it so essential in this day and age? Because we don't just want to read with emails. At best, we skim, and we don't seem to take all the information in unless the designs are optimized. So, how do we gain trust and build obviously the brand when people aren't reading and engaging with the emails? We can make them interactive. So interactive emails are generating 2 times higher engagement rates and increased click to open rates by up to 73%. So interactive elements keep subscribers interested and boost email dwell time. So, the more they're on the email, the more information they're taking in and digesting to provide them with an informative decision, to drive them to click through to the landing page, and to then obviously convert from there. So examples of interactive elements, quizzes, polls, gamification can increase the average email viewing time by over 50%, which is huge. And that leads to higher click-through rates. So, 2.5 times increase in conversions compared to traditional static emails. So they boost brand recall by up to 80%. So in this ever-growing world where you look at probably 10 to 20 emails at any one time, remembering the first email you looked at by the end of it is really difficult. So you need something that sticks out and that is different, whether that be, like I said, a poll or a spinning random wheel, gamification that really stands out from anyone. And why it's so important, 25, not many people are taking advantage of this. They don't know where to start with this. They don't think it's very accessible. They need to go out to a coder, get HTML, where it's not. You can just slide this into, an Omnisend template effortlessly. There's modules there for you to do that. So going into the actual examples a bit more, so polls and surveys. We run a survey and poll for most of our clients each month, and why we do this is we ask for feedback or preferences to enhance engagement. They feel like they are part of the journey. They feel that they're part of the business, that their voices are being heard, and it's your cheapest and most effective way to actually get product feedback, to actually develop and improve, obviously, your own services and products. So, which product should we launch next? Take the guesswork out of it. You're going to have so many responses that you'll have a roadmap for the next 6 to 12 months on, gradual releases that you can active. Um, Help users discover the right products based on their answers. So, if you have many different supplements, which supplement is the right one for you? This is my diet. This is how active I am. This is what I'm lacking. Okay, well, this is the best supplement for you. Take it away. You want the least barrier to entry when you were looking for people to purchase quickly and convert. So having this takes the overwhelming going onto the site, having time to think about it, takes all of that away. Again, an example here, a skincare brand sending a quiz to suggest the best moisturizer. So it's not just all about, obviously, people doing things, but it's also how we can improve the static elements of an email to stand out. So GIFs and micro animations, they're very eye catching. Obviously, they're referred to a lot of the time as scroll stoppers. People stop and then they engage with that, and then that's when they start digesting the information around it, making them more informed, ready to actually convert through to, obviously, the landing page. Another thing could be a limited time sales countdown timer. We always do this when we're releasing offers. Part of our welcome flows, it's 48 hours to use a particular introductory offer. And there's a countdown timer, obviously counting that down to sort of drive scarcity and improve conversions. So gamification, again, it's great. It's, risk free. It's just something fun that people can engage in. Scratch cards, spin to win, or challenges that encourages users to interact with the emails. And again, if they have fun while engaging with your emails, when they see one come through, there's a dopamine hit, and they're going to immediately look to open that again, rather than move on to the next one and just be like, oh, that's just another email. Can't be bothered with that. So the impact of interactive emails. So you're getting higher engagement rates because they're spending more time interacting with your content, increased conversions, fun, engaging emails, and the driving action. And then again, it's more memorable. They see so many static emails, stand out, and obviously try some interactive elements there. And again, how Omnisend specifically helps with this, they have built-in tools for interactive email elements, easy drag and drop setup for polls, quizzes, and gamified content. So again, you don't have to go anywhere else. It's right there in front of you. You just drag and drop. It's plug in and play. And there are also automation capabilities as well to further personalize these interactions. So going back to the first trend, it's covering both elements there for you to really give you the best chance to be memorable, engaging, and convert. So let's look at trend 3, lifecycle automation and why it's critical. Automated lifecycle emails drive 320% more revenue compared to standard bulk promotional emails. 81% of consumers expect brands to understand and adapt to their buying journey through timely, personalized emails. Customers expect timely, relevant messages throughout their journey. Again, it's sort of covering the hyperload personalization in terms of behavioral personalization. So if they're signing up for a particular offer, making sure that they receive it immediately, or if they've purchased something, reminding them that in 90 days' time that they haven't purchased since, and re-entering yourself back into the conversation. And this can all be automated. So it's not down on you to remember when they first purchased and when you need to actually send another email. it's all done for you. It's, set up relatively easily, and it just does all the hard work for you in the background where you focus on those more important things, saving time, driving consistent revenue growth for you. And then personalized automation, again, improves the retention and repeat purchases. People feel, build a relationship, they build rapport, and it's a great way and easy and effective way to do that. Um, so again, I've touched on it a few times actually, the welcome series. So engaging new subscribers immediately. So we usually have, as part of our deliverability strategy, a welcome pop-up. So for first-time buyers of a particular product, they can get an introductory offer. There are two ways you can do this. You can have the code after they input their email or SMS number. You can have the code appear on the success page. We have that for a few clients, but we find it more effective for deliverability when we have to get them to open the email itself, because then that shows that it's relevant, that shows that they're engaging with it, and it sets them up to receive emails in the future. And it helps, with deliverability there, and it actually fills your database with people with buying intent as well. You you know your contact list is precious, and it could obviously become quite costly, and you want to make sure you're getting the biggest return of investment out of that as well. So this is another way of getting people with high buying intent, and then it's just down to your product and service and your automations to make sure that they keep coming back and obviously buying more. So the abandoned cart, again, we've mentioned this a few times, but we're looking at recovering lost sales by reminding customers of items they've left in the cart. And I think one of the first examples I brought up was, if they continuously do that, why is that? And potentially, offer an alternative that's still relevant, but maybe at different price points to help obviously push that over the mark. But again, you could always offer a bit of a one-time discount to say, include the timer, to include a bit of obviously interactive elements again. Send obviously the automated email after they've just looked at it. It's relevant, it's fresh in the mind, it's memorable. And yeah, hopefully with that little discount, it pushes them over the edge to actually convert. And an abandoned cart, as you can see, recovers an average of 12 to 20% of lost sales, which is huge. So the post-purchase email results are 5 times higher in engagement and drive 90% higher repeat purchases. So after you want them to feel valued. So just forgetting about them as soon as they've made the purchase is the wrong thing to do. We set up a few simple flows where we check in, after 7 days, asking, how did your experience go with our service or product? Did you have a good experience? Did you have a bad experience? How can we improve that? And again, it's going back to the previous trend where it's making it interactive for them. It's making them feel valued, and it's really personal as well, because it's based on the product, it's based on their experience. So it's just improving everything overall and covering all of the trends that we've actually brought up since then. The re-engagement win-back campaigns, so target inactive subscribers with special offers. So I don't want to sound like from Goodfellas, but give them an offer that they can't simply refuse, because if they don't accept that, then stop being a hoarder and just get them out of your subscriber list. They're costing you money, and they're affecting your deliverability and open rates. So that's why at Rage we develop a series of automations that breed naturally deliverability, engagement, and open rates. And we can do that easily and consistently with obviously the likes of Omnisend and its capabilities. So why lifecycle automation is so critical: higher customer retention, keep customers coming back, which is so important in obviously these competitive markets that we're all working in. We're looking at increasing the average order value. So upselling, cross-selling strategies. If they've purchased this product, what other product is usually purchased with that? You probably see it all the time. But you're probably thinking, it takes too much effort to look into and too much technology to set up. It's not. It's a few clicks in this day and age that you can obviously get this done. And saving time on maximizing revenue is efficient for you, and you can also scale there. Okay. So how Omnisend can help here? So pre-built automation templates for lifecycle flows. Um, as I said, there are so many recommendations, and just get into them, set them up. I mean, if your brand asset bank is already set up, it does all the hard work for you. Your logo's in there. You know, it already has some suggestions for the copy that should be included. And if you don't have much time, just, you know, it's essential to get these up and running. You've seen the stats, and it doesn't mean that you can't spend another 3 hours next month improving it slightly. But yeah, the guesswork is left out. A couple of clicks and it's ready to go. Behavior-based triggers to send the right messages at the right time. So yeah, after they've signed up or a couple of hours after they've left their cart, this is where we hit them. And then performance tracking to optimize the workflow. So Omnisend is a great feature where you can go into the flows and you can see how they're built, and you can, you know, with a click of the button, you can hide or you can show the breakdown of statistics for each of the elements within the flows. So you can see, okay, well, this part's working effectively, but this email isn't. Why is that? The open rate's down, the click-through rates. Let's add some interactive elements. Let's trial that for another week. So it really allows you to analyze the full journey very easily, very quickly, and identify where improvements can be made. So we've gone through all of the trends. Now let's look at tips and tricks on how we can boost your revenue for 2025. So advanced segmentation. So we're targeting customers based on behavior and purchase history. If they're buying a particular product 5 times in a row, that should trigger an automation, which then can send a personalized email saying, thanks for purchasing 5 of these skincare routines. You know, have one on us or have an exclusive discount as a thank you. Again, you're breeding loyalty, they feel valued, and they're going to keep coming back there. Another one is, you know, if they have attempted to buy it 5 times, but they haven't, again, providing them with a personalized reach out, you know, from the owner, see that you haven't completed a purchase yet. Is there anything I can help with support wise? Again, it feels personal, but it can be completely automated. So it takes all of the guesswork out. Um, Compelling call to actions and subject lines. So we look at A/B testing to find high performing messages. And when you're going through the subject line options, specifically with Omnisend, you can copy the existing email, which gives you an A and a B to test, obviously, your subject lines. Go with the safe option in A and just go crazy in B, you know, and then let the data decide which one is going to be most popular. We get stuck thinking that we're the target audience, where we're not. We have a bias. We understand that, you know, the mission of the company. We understand the product, but these people might not necessarily that we're sending, you know, hundreds of emails to. So let's try a couple of variations, and let the data show over a period of time what works best. You know, out of these marketing psychological tactics, is it scarcity? Is it FOMO? You know, there's so much that we can test here, and not just with call to actions and subject lines. You know, you also have timing. When's the best time to send? You know, what we most of us, you know, maybe just national, maybe regional, some maybe international. So we're dealing with lots of different time zones here, and just sending all the same time isn't actually going to work anymore. Um, so the revenue boosting automations we've gone through in detail in the life cycle automations. So using the abandoned cart, reactivation, and upsell flows. So once you've got, as I call, the prime flows in place, these are what you need to be looking at to then scale that further. Um, they are available and recommended, obviously, by Omnisend. So they just require a couple of clicks to get these set up. And again, get them set up and optimize them throughout the week. And there's intuitive ways of seeing the performance of them. So yeah, it makes it easy for you to do. And then using analytics for optimization. So there has obviously been massive improvements, especially with Omnisend in the reporting functionality. You look at custom date ranges, and you can really dig down into, you know, seasonality. Why are people more opening emails in October than they are in August? And is it because of the time difference? Is it darker? Are there, you know, public holidays on at this time? But it really puts clearly in perspective, down to the campaigns or the overall account, the open rates, the click-through rates, and conversions, which allows you to sort of refine your strategy better. And again, leaning on the AI automation to really show where you can go with it, how you can improve and make those next steps. Um, so again, intuitive tools for segmentation, automation, and analytics. Whatever you need, it's all a one-stop shop for that. You don't have to go anywhere else. A few clicks of a button, and you have all of this information. We haven't got a lot of time to spend. I mean, this could potentially be three different roles in a particular business. As an SMB owner, you are all of those three roles. So having something that clearly shows you and quickly shows you the information that you need and how you can improve your efforts to increase revenue. Omnisend, there's no better tool for you. Easy to use templates as well for high performing email campaigns. So a bit of time to set up your brand assets. So making sure your logo and your color palette is there, because then every time you're using a template that you like, all of that can be transferred across. And again, it's saving you time in the long run to be more efficient in scaling. So I wanted to share obviously a few case studies from Rage Creative using Omnisend exclusively. So this SMB, we boosted revenue by 45% just through a regimented segmentation strategy. So the issues that they had were low engagement and generic email blasts. They didn't have the time to properly look at the reporting, and they didn't have the time or the knowledge to segment. There was a bit of paralysis there. I'm going to keep using that word because it was overwhelming. They kept wanting to do it, clicking a few times, seeing so many drop downs. It's like, oh, I don't know where to start. So we implemented, again, advanced segmentation and dynamic content. So the segmentation allowed us to quickly filter the customers. And with that, we were able to then send obviously relevant email campaigns to them, fully automated with dynamic content. So that's how we were able to target them when they were, most ready for the emails, and they were able to convert then. So we actually increased open rates by 30%, with overall revenue increasing by 45%. And this was over a 3-month period. So if you're thinking, these things take time to do, you could see huge results in month 1, 2 months, 3 months, but it's all about remaining consistent. It's like a diet, for example. The more you stick to it, the better the results are going to be. But you don't have to go on a crazy diet where you're not eating anything for a full week. So with Omnisend, it allows you to do a bit each day, and that consistent work will have huge payoff, obviously, in the long run. And then the second one is a welcome series, which was driving 60% higher conversion rates. So new subscribers weren't converting. And why that was happening is because I mentioned it before, where the sign up page, it did offer a code in the success. So people weren't in the busy lives, people may have signed up, got the code on the success page, and then pocketed their phone or the device and say, okay, I'll come back to that a bit later. But because they haven't opened the welcome email, or they're expecting it, or they don't need to, that then deemed as, the automation would send out, and then that would deem them as not interested and not engaged. So then any future correspondence was not going into their inbox. It was going into spam, and they would never hear from that business again. So again, we implemented a 3-part welcome email flow with personalized offers, so personalized discount codes with interactive elements, and we removed the discount code from the success part of the pop-up. So they had to open the email in order to access it. And then we had better open rates, better conversion rates, purely from new subscribers, because this offer was only available to new purchases. Anyone that had already purchased, verified by the IP address, would be shifted into a different automation, which would just provide them with the latest offer or discount that was running at that particular time. So key takeaways from this: personalization and segmentation, again, equals more engagement. Automation will save time and it recovers revenue without you having to lift a finger. And then A/B testing and data-driven decisions will just naturally lead to higher conversions. Um, so the case studies prove that small businesses can achieve big results with automation and personalization. And pre-built templates and workflows will allow you to scale your marketing effortlessly. Um, you know, how much time are you going to need to do this? A few hours a week, maybe. But again, the more hours you have, the more beneficial it's going to be. But, you know, this allows you to get more out of your time when you are able to obviously do a bit of email marketing. So just to summarize everything we've gone through. So implement things today. So why not obviously log straight in now, look at one of the recommended flows and get set up right away while it's fresh in mind. And again, just set a reminder to check back in a week's time on how that's performing. And then spend, half an hour to an hour looking at the stats, familiarizing yourself and being like, okay, well, this is how my customers are reacting with my content. Let's make improvements based on that. And explore Omnisend, you can see all of the pre-built automations that are available, the content, the advanced analytics. No one's there going to be judging you. You're not going to get a pop-up in the corner saying, haha, you don't know how to use it. But the more you jump in, the better and more acquainted you're going to be. And the support staff are super helpful and super responsive. So if you do have questions, just click obviously on the messaging icon in the bottom left, usually, I think it is. And someone will be available and able to help point you in the right direction to help. I've actually covered my next point there, which is great. But yeah, if you are looking to supercharge your email marketing, feel free to book a free consultation with myself at Rage Creative. You can scan the QR code here, which will take you through to a contact page. But yeah, more than happy to sit down with any one of you to go through any of these trends or strategies in a bit more detail. I'll just leave that on there for a couple more seconds, just while everyone's, I'm sure, scrambling to their phones and trying to take a picture. But I will move on. But really appreciate everyone joining today, and appreciate everyone listening to what I had to say. I'm more than happy to answer as many questions as I can now.
Amazing. Thank you so much, James. Like, I'm just thinking about okay, there's so much information, so many actionable things. And I could see in the Q&A box, people were asking lots of questions. So it's
Oh,
always
good.
a good sign. People are engaged. Someone, Genevieve saying it's extremely informative. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Genevieve.
What we're going to do, we don't have time to answer all the questions. So after the session, we will go through the questions and add all the answers to our follow-up email when you're going to get the recording. So we'll just get a few questions that were mostly repetitive. And I'm also thinking there are so many, again, small, medium businesses, and you just told us so much. So where do we begin? Someone even asked, it was, I think, if you had only 3 hours today, which email flow would you start with? Welcome email, abandoned cart email, segmented emails. Like, what do? You don't have time.
No, we don't. And 3 hours is a lot of time in the grand scheme of things. But welcome flow, as I stated, that is the key to setting off the relationship in a good way. Setting up that deliverability for future success. So in my opinion, setting that up is imperative. That's the number one prime flow for me. That's your first 3 hours, and then you move on to your abandoned cart. So that's clearing up 20% of lost sales, recovering those for you. And those two really are the main two that I would focus on. But you then have a whole host of things that you can look into with obviously the other 3 hours that you'll get in following days.
Amazing. And talking about like segmentation, you already touched a little bit on that. As I say, some people get segmentation avoidance, and some
Hmm.
get segmentation paralysis because we either don't want to do it because it might seem just too scary. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna do something that's just gonna blow everything up, and like, or you want to do so much. Like, where do you begin? What do you do? So how would you suggest us approaching this? Again, we don't have time. Maybe it's our first business, so I don't know what's
Mhm.
happening. So what do we do?
So one of the key things to breed loyalty is birthdays. Everyone has a birthday, right? One of the first things you can do is create a segmentation that will put recognize people's birthdays. We'll put them into an automation once their birthday appears to send them a happy birthday and a discount. It's a really nice personal thing and quite easy to set up because it's just a couple of clicks, date of birth, reaches that, and then it filters them and puts them into like a one email automation. So that's a really simple and effective way you can do that. Something a bit more complex, and when one thing we implement straight away when we don't have a lot of time is engage segments. So when you have a full list and not everyone's engaging because your deliverability is low, what you want to do is progressively send to the whole list, but then for the majority of the time, you're sending just the engaged contacts. So the way we break it down, it's quite common practice, is to have an engaged 30 days. So anyone that's interacted with an email, been on the website, purchased a product in the last 30 days, we then have a 60 days and then an 180 days. So the 30-day engaged section, they receive every single email because they're actively engaging with all types. The 60 days, they receive an email twice a week. So we make sure that the emails that they are receiving are a bit more important than maybe some educational pieces. And then the full list receive obviously the most important email during that week or during that month because we still want to engage with these unengaged contacts. So it's a way of doing that gradually, which isn't going to affect your overall deliverability. And it's quite easy to set up these segments as well and get started and include it in your email campaigns from today.
Awesome. Yeah, I would say from my own experiences, just do one thing. As James
Mm.
said, the birthday segment. It's easy, straightforward. You start doing it, you'll get comfortable with it. And also, you don't have to go live with it if you're unsure. You can just set it up, get some help from either Omnisend, maybe contact James and Rage Creative, and then we can help you with that. But just that first action, that usually gets you through it.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Awesome. I also have a question about A/B testing. So again, something that a lot of new people to the business, it might seem really daunting. Like, what do you test? How often do you test? And also, how big does your list have to be to actually have meaningful results? Because maybe I just started off and I only have 200 contacts. Like, is it worth it testing it?
It certainly is, but it has to be used differently. So if we break it down, when you're A/B testing, there's so many things we can test as we've discussed already: subject line, times, and the copy. But if you try too many things at once, you're not going to know what's actually being tested and what's working. So test one thing for a period of time. So when you're getting started, again, subject lines is a really easy one just to get you into the mindset of A/B testing and what it can really do for your marketing activity. So send two different subject lines from two different marketing tactics, let's say. One is fear of missing out, and one is scarcity. And you use that for like an offer email, for example. And if they're reacting more to the obviously fear of missing out, where it's like, join thousands of other people that are using the skincare routine, or rather than like, oh, this is a limited time offer, you've only got 24 hours, you're going to miss out. That really helps you identify, okay, next week I'll do times, but I'll use the scarcity tactic because I know that works, and so on and so forth. So I think it's more being patient, testing one thing, getting comfortable with it, and then moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you can't mess this up. Like small
No,
stakes until you get more comfortable, and you can always switch it off. So
you
yeah,
you can, and don't get me wrong, it helps having a bigger list because you're able to test and then send the winner to the remaining list. But that doesn't stop you if you have a smaller list just going 50-50 because you're still getting the test results and you can still obviously make improvements to the next time and you'll actively see the improvements. So yeah, don't be put off by having obviously, like you said, 200 to 400 to start with. That will soon grow with obviously these things that you can implement today.
absolutely. And as you said, like you have to start it, and then your list grows. That is how you get that. We have
Yeah.
a question. What are the most important elements to consider while writing a subject for emails to raise engagement and opening rate?
Yeah. So again, it's got to be relevance. So and it's got to be optimized for deliverability. There are a couple of different ways that you can check the words that you're using. So even the words that are included in the subject line may actually trigger spam filters and stop you obviously getting through to the person that you're looking to reach. So I would just obviously make sure that you can look at many that are available online, just to check that you aren't using any really spam triggering words. But if you're using again, I don't like using first name personalization personally because it actually gets the offer out of the way. But we, for a meal prep plan, we send personalized where it's like time for dinner, but we're sending it at like 5:30 in the evening. So there's that immediate connection of relevance and personalization because they're looking at it going, actually, it is. And I am hungry and I'm really annoyed because I've made a terrible meal, but I can now get this. So yeah, that's just one example of how it can be done.
Amazing. And when you were talking about behavioral personalization, I studied behavioral economics. And I also agree with your statement, first names, whatever. Like it might seem like counterintuitive, but again, like subconsciously, when we're going for like those things that we do daily for our routines, it's going to be so much more impactful than someone calling you by your name. And some people don't even leave their real names there. So,
No.
you might be missing out.
Yeah, exactly that. So times have moved on. It used to work, many years ago, but yeah, it's more about relevance and behavior than anything now.
Awesome. I have one last question that I think is very practical. How often do you recommend updating automated flows, or are they a once done kind of setup? Just kind of thinking from two perspectives. I just
hmm
started off, and maybe I had my business and my automations running, I don't know, half a year. What would be your approach?
So half a year for me even seems too long in this day and age because you potentially could be missing out on new features, right? I mean, especially if you're using a platform like Omnisend where they're throwing out new features every single month to improve the efficiency of your email marketing efforts. Because of how easy Omnisend makes it to review your flows, it takes a couple minutes. So maybe even just weekly checkups because 20% of revenue over a whole month is huge for SMBs, right? So if you're leaving it for 6 months, that's fair enough. You can do, but you could just quickly check in, and if the stats and the revenue per recipient are still looking great and the open rates are still looking great, then you can leave it and you don't have to look into it. But it's what I'm getting at is when you do need to, when you notice something is starting to drop, and you'll be potentially let know that there is a bit of an inconsistency here, that there's a huge drop off rate since this date. That's when you can go in, and again, you can quickly identify what part of the automation isn't working. You don't have to scrap the whole thing necessarily and rebuild it. You just drag and drop another template in, A/B test another subject line, and then boom, there you go. Within 10 minutes, you've got an improved flow. So don't feel overwhelmed with all the other choices. Just stick to simple and consistent ways that you can slowly improve it, and that for sure will just show you great results in the long run. Consistent and scalable growth is what we were looking for.
Amazing. Totally agree with that. Right. So that's going to be it for today because we're running out of time. But as promised, we'll pick up all unanswered questions and we will get all the answers for you, and we will add it in the email with the recording for this webinar. So James, thank you so much for being here today. Loved all the information, so many practical tips, and I'll recommend everyone to go through this recording again once you get the link to it. Yeah, thank you so much, James.
No worries. Yeah, thank you very much, Vi, and yeah, the Omnisend team for having me along today. It's great. You know, you've saved my my employees from listening to me talk about email marketing just constantly. So, no, it's been great. Really good fun.
Amazing. Thank you. Bye, everyone.